Hey, what's up guys? EchoFox Theo here, and I'm back with another tutorial, and this time it's going to be for Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is a game I've been grinding a lot recently. So, when Dragon Ball FighterZ first came out, I would say the training mode was average at best. There were a lot of decent things about it, so for the most part you were able to lab what you needed to lab. But if you really wanted to get into like the nitty-gritty of certain situations, it was definitely lacking in a lot of things. So with the recent patch, they added a lot of crucial things to their training mode, which I really wanted to talk about in this tutorial. So I'm going to go over a couple new things about it that I think all players of all levels should basically utilize to the fullest, because I think it'll, expedite your guys' leveling up process. So let's get right to it. Let's go ahead and go into the enemy settings real quick. So as you guys notice, there's a setting called counterattack settings. And what this basically does is you can set your opponent to basically do some kind of reversal attack, whether it's a special move, whether it's a vanish, a backdash, or any kind of like DP attack. And your AI is basically going to do a counterattack at the very first possible frame. So this is an amazing way to test to see how true your block strings are, and it's an amazing way to test to see like what your options are in certain scenarios. So let's go ahead and do a certain string without a counterattack, and then we'll do one with counterattack, just so you guys see the difference. So I'm going to set my AI to guard all, and I'm going to have Android 21 do a certain string. So let's do this: light, light, medium, medium, dunk. Now let's go ahead and do that same string with counterattack on, just to see if it's a true block string. So let's go ahead and make the opponent use a Z reflect as a counterattack. So my opponent, or I guess my AI, is going to reflect at the very first possible frame. See, notice how the opponent reflected. I keep on saying opponent, but it's AI. Notice how the AI reflected right as the dunk was about to happen. So that basically means that that dunk, or the gap between your medium attack and the dunk, it has a bare minimum of a 1 frame gap. Now it's possible that the gap could be bigger, or it's possible that the gap could be 1 frame. So in that certain scenario, if you wanted to test to see if the gap was bigger, you can go ahead and set it to counterattack with a different move. So let's go ahead and set the counterattack to vanish. Now, I think that a vanish starts up on the 3rd frame. I could be wrong. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's 3rd or 4th frame, but if someone wants to correct it in the comments, feel free to. So we're going to do that same thing and then have the vanish be the counterattack. So let's just see if there is that big of a gap to vanish. So notice how the AI was able to vanish between that. So that basically implies that... Oh, he didn't vanish there. Okay, let me correct myself. So the AI tried to vanish between the medium and the dunk, and they got hit out of it. So what that basically means is that the gap in that string is 1 frame, but it's no more than 3 frames, if that basically makes sense. And there's a lot of different moves that you can set as a counterattack. So Gohan's DP, the input is 236 medium. So in the inputs, we go to down forward triangle, which is, the anime notation for 236 medium, and we're going to set Gohan to do a DP. And that way you can also test to see if you have any other strings that you want to see if they were true. So let me go ahead and tag in Tien real quick. Like with Tien, I'd like to do this string a lot. So notice how the opponent didn't DP. Okay, for the 3rd time, I messed this up. Notice how the AI didn't DP in the middle of that string. That basically means that it's a true block string. That means that there's no gap in there for them to DP. But if you delay any little part of that string, that DP is going to come out. So check it out. So you notice how I DP'd the medium there, so Gohan was able to, notice how I delayed the medium there, so Gohan was able to DP out of it. So, that's another thing that you can set as a reversal or a counterattack. And there's a lot of different things here. Like if you want, you can set a level 3 as a counterattack. You can set a level 1 as a counterattack. You can set up a light attack, a medium attack, or a heavy attack as a counterattack. So there's a lot of cool things. Like if you wanted to test to see if your opponent can mash out of a certain string, you can set your AI to do like a light attack. And just to see like how mashable a certain string is. So right now with Tien, I'm going to do a light, into a delayed medium. So notice how Gohan got hit out of that. That means that the AI tried to do a 6-frame attack or a jab at the very first possible frame, but because the gap is too tight, they got blown up. But if I delay it a little bit more, notice how he was able to bring it out. So that's another thing that you can test out with the AI. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you should set the guard to guard all. That way, I'd say it's the most efficient way of testing something like that out. But a really, really, really cool thing that you can do is you can test to see if your opponent can press buttons after a level 3. And let me give you an example of that. So I'm going to go back to setting the counterattack to 236 medium with Gohan, which is his DP. And now I'm going to tag in Android 21 real quick. So again, I want to reiterate. Keep in mind that I set the guard to don't guard. So what that means is when the opponent gets hit, after their recovery, they're going to do a DP at the first possible frame. So if I want to test to see like what I can do on Oki with Android 21's level 3, I do this. I do her level 3. And then I'm going to do a meaty jump heavy, just to see if their DP will blow me up. I think I set the wrong move. Yeah, I set the wrong move. I'm sorry. Let me go back to... There it is. So I'm going to do the same situation again. And then I'm going to see if Gohan can DP out of that situation. So notice how he tried to DP on the first possible frame, but it whiffed because my jump H was at a very awkward angle. So that example that I showed you, it's a pretty rudimentary example. You can test it with any character you want. Like with Android 16, I can tag him in, do a level 3, and then do like a cross-up jump medium, and then see if they can DP out of it, or, I mean, see if they can crouching heavy out of it, see if they can jab out of it, or vanish out of it. You can basically do anything you want. Like, the sky's the limit with testing that out. I just want to basically show you guys, like, the kind of the stepping stones for setting up those kind of situations. So, that's basically, you know, counterattack in a nutshell. One other thing that I want to show about it is you can set your AI to do a backdash as a counterattack setting, and you can test to see if they can backdash, like, out of plus frames. So with Android 16, if I want to test to see if they can backdash after vanish, I can do vanish. And then after that certain scenario, they were able to backdash. Now maybe I didn't time my jab properly. See, I timed it properly there, so they're not able to backdash. So that's another cool thing that you can test out. Just set it to guard all, and then set the counterattack to backstep, and then you can basically see if they can backdash, you know, after certain delayed block strings. It's really, really cool. Now, the second thing that I wanted to test, or to show you guys, and it's just as important as a counterattack setting, is that you have the option to set multiple recordings. Now, pre-patch, you can only make your AI do one specific recording. They can only do one action at a time. And basically how that works is you press the L3 button, and then you make them do anything, and then press the R3 button, and they do that recording. Now notice how it said slot 1 there. I'm going to do it again. See that slot 1? That basically shows that they're doing a recording in a specific slot, and if you notice this bar of 50 here, that means they're going to do that recording 50% of the time. Now to make them do another recording, you go to slot 2, and then set a recording, and then it signifies that it's going to do the second slot recording 50% of the time. So what that basically means is you can test to see if certain situations are 50-50s. Well, that's like one example of something you can test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag in Android 16. And I'm going to set the AI to guard all, so that when I make Android 16 do a recording, I'm going to be guarding everything. And I'm going to turn the counterattack settings off. Now, in the first slot, I'm going to make Android 16 do jab, jab, delayed medium. In the second slot, I'm going to make him do jab, jab, command grab. And I'm making sure that they're both set at 50, and that they're both being played 50% of the time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the recording. And it's going to do the first one. let's see. Oh, excuse me, I forgot to set it to random. So, and then you go to playback method, random, so it does all the slots. Alright, so let's do that again. So basically what's going on is when you keep on making Android 16 do his recording, he's basically doing the recordings each 50% of the time. See, it's all coming out 50% of the time. And then you can basically change that slider if you wanted to. So you can make it so like he does a certain thing 60% of the time, a certain thing 40% of the time, so on and so forth. And then you can basically do like 8 different actions at a time. So again, the sky is the limit for, you know, something like that. I think that's an incredible way to test out to see if something your opponent is doing is a true 50-50, if a certain situation is reactable, if a certain situation is not reactable. Again, like, you can basically do whatever you want with this. It is an incredible thing that Dragon Ball FighterZ has, and it's an incredible thing that a lot of other fighting games have. Another thing that I want to show, and this will be, I think, the last thing, is that you can basically make your sparking infinite. You know, like sparking recovery permanent. That's a really cool way to, you know, make yourself stay in sparking. So if you have certain combos they want to test in sparking, you can do it. So that's really cool. And then one last thing I want to show with the counterattack settings is if we go back to the counterattack settings, you can also make your opponent do EX moves as well. So notice this 236 heavy. Most heavies in this game are EX moves, so let me test that out with Android 16. So Android 16's up command grab, it has upper body invulnerability, I believe, on the first frame. So like if you want to test out to see if he's able to do that against certain block strings, you can. So like I can make myself go in sparking, do a super dash into a jab. Oh, he's able to 2-1-4 heavy out of it. Sorry, I'm really bad with anime notations. So yeah, that's one more thing that I wanted to show with the counterattack settings. So yeah, guys, those were some really important things that I wanted to show about you know, the new perks in Dragon Ball FighterZ's training mode. Use them to your heart's desire. They're really, really important for you to understand and study certain situations. And I think utilizing a training mode optimally is just as important, if not more important, than grinding matches as well. They both basically coexist together in leveling up. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel would be greatly, greatly appreciated. And see you guys next time. Peace!